And this is a pendulum. This is my main pendulum. Hi, and welcome to our session on working with pendulums. Now, I've been working with pendulums for years and years. I've had many pendulums over the years, and I thought I would just run through a session on how to use your pendulum, how to clean the pendulum, how to pick a pendulum, how to get your pendulum interacting, and how to keep it safe. So let's have a look at pendulums. Pendulums have been used for hundreds of years. They used to even be used by midwives in the hundreds of years ago, when they used to actually use a chain, and they'd put a wedding ring on the chain and they'd hold it over the tummy of the pregnant woman, and they would be able to tell whether it was a boy or a girl and all sorts of things. They've been used in dowsing. It's often referred to as dowsing. You can actually hold a pendulum over a map and choose a location that you're looking for, or something that help you with something that's lost. But let's have a look at what a pendulum actually looks like, what it does, what it can be. So a pendulum can be anything from perhaps a piece of jewelry on a chain. It could be a crystal on a chain. It can be a crystal on a string. It can actually be a crystal in a little cage, in little silver cages. So it can actually be whatever you need it to be. And a pendulum works by connecting to energy, because we know everything is energy, right? So let me introduce you to my pendulums, and then we'll have a chat about how to clean them, how to actually keep them clear, how to connect with them, how to connect your pendulum with things, and how to actually work with your pendulums. I'm just looking at my dog at the moment. He's decided to come into the room. So he likes it when we work with energy and pendulums. So let's have a look at pendulums. Now, this is one of my pendulums. And this is an amethyst crystal on a pendulum. And this is a lovely pendulum. Now, I have some of my pendulums actually have some of my guides connected to them. You don't have to have your guides connected to them. However, you know, they will work quite fine if you don't. However, I do. Some of my guides choose to actually connect to my pendulums when they're working. Now, this little pendulum prefers for me to actually work with her, and it is her, the guide, so I go by the name of the guide, more in private. We don't tend to do a lot of the public work with her, and she's saying yes, that's exactly what she prefers. And do you want to be shown in this session for much longer? And you can see we've got a no happening, so the swings, which is something we're going to look at, is how to get your swings happening. So thank you, gorgeous. This is my main pendulum. Now, your pendulums don't have to be just one crystal. You can see my pendulum here is actually several crystals. We've got the chakra colors in the crystals, and there's several crystals, and in fact the little pointer crystal at the bottom is not exactly straight anymore, because I've been using this for quite some time. Again, one of my main guides is actually connected to this particular pendulum, and it is so much fun to actually use this pendulum. So this is the one that we'll actually be working with today. Are you happy for me to work with you today? Yes. And you'll actually see when the pendulum stops that there is a vibration here. It's because my guide is laughing. So laughing energy is high vibrational energy, and it is actually quite fun to work with. So pendulums can actually be used to answer questions. Now, most people will assume that the questions that you're asking are yes or no questions, and generally they are, especially in the beginning. You can ask other questions and you will get answers as well. Before you do that though, let's have a look at what actually happens. When you go into a shop, or when you go to choose a pendulum, generally the pendulum will choose you rather than you choosing the pendulum. So you'll find that you can actually ask which pendulum is meant for you, and quite often you'll find they'll start to move. And the one that is moving the most, the one that you are drawn to energetically, that is the pendulum that you'll be using. And that's how a lot of people choose it. Now, if you simply purchase online, again, you'll probably be drawn to the one that you want to actually use, the one that is connected to you, the one that is working with you. So don't get too stressed or too upset about all of that. As I said, pendulums can actually also be chains or necklaces. I have a quartz amethyst necklace here, and this particular chain I can use for my pendulum work if I choose to. It will actually work as a pendulum. I again have a guide who has connected to this and helps to protect me and keep me safe. But the Merkaba quartz and the amethyst at the top, in fact I actually have a photo of this particular crystal, and you can see the guide inside, like the guide that's connected to it, so that's pretty cool. Something I might share with you on another video. So pendulums, first thing we do with a pendulum, and most people do with a pendulum, they get a pendulum, they start to ask questions. Okay, so with a pendulum, what you probably should do with your pendulum first is to cleanse it and to clear your pendulum. Now, you can cleanse and clear your pendulum with a white flame, a white candle, swinging it over a white candle. You can actually cleanse your pendulum by taking the pendulum and placing it in your hand. First of all, ground yourself. Make sure that you call on beings of light to work with you and to surround you. And you can actually take the energy, project bright white energy. Calendula, you're right if we do this. Okay, up and down the pendulum, and you can fill it with bright white light, and that will help to clear and cleanse your pendulum. This is one of the things I teach a lot of people to do. We teach them to do this because there's not always a chance where you'll actually have a flame to work over, or sage, burning sage, which is another way to cleanse it, to clear. Thank you. Thank you, lovely. So, once you've done that several times, you can say words if you like. Things like, I cleanse and clear this crystal with all my love and light, or I cleanse and clear this crystal with love and light and bright. Whatever you like. It doesn't have to rhyme, but I find rhyming things are easy to remember, so you can actually, use words that. But all it is you want to fill the pendulum with bright white light, make it clean and clear. So when you're actually working with your pendulum, again, you can swirl it through sage smoke. So if you're burning sage or incense, you can actually swirl it through that and ask to cleanse and clear the pendulum. A lot of people think that they have to do all this stuff on their own. And one of the big things that I find is that if you were to realize how powerful there are, that the beings of light that are in other realms that can actually help us, then you wouldn't do anything really on your own. So what I do and what my husband does is we call in either Archangel Michael or his twin ray, Archangel Faith. So generally it's Michael, because Michael is the protector. Michael will help with moving dark energies around and removing them and protecting us from negative stuff, whether it be negative thoughts, negative energies, anything that might attach or connect to the pendulum that you can actually clear. So this pendulum is clear. We clear a pendulum. You should do that before you use it. It should be one of the first things you do. If you haven't done it already, that's fine. Just go and clear and cleanse it before we actually use it now. If you've got a pendulum and you want to use your pendulum along with this video, pause the video, go and grab your pendulum, and then come back, and we'll actually start doing some work with the pendulum. Now, when you're actually using your pendulum you hold in whatever hand is your dominant hand. And the reason being, it just feels awkward in your other hand. If you're ambidextrous, doesn't matter. There is no necessarily right or wrong way to hold a pendulum. I find that I tend to hold the pendulum with I've got a little ball holder on the end, like this, sitting over my fingers, because what that actually does is means that I'm not actually influencing it in any way. It's just hanging straight down. So this is my pendulum. My pendulum's guide, who is actually with this pendulum, that is known as Calendula. So Calendula, hello. Right, now you will find with your pendulum that generally the first thing to do is to ask it to show you a yes swing. So we're going to have a look at a yes swing. So can we have a yes swing, please, Calendula? Fantastic. So while we're doing that, grab your pendulum, give it a good clean, and try and ask your pendulum for a yes swing. Okay, so now that we've got a yes swing sorted, now a yes swing can be backwards and forwards, it can be circles, it can be whatever the yes swing is. When we're actually working with our pendulums, we always ask, I teach to always ask your question 3 times in 3 different ways. So, show me the yes swing. Is this the yes swing? Pendulum, please show me the yes swing. The swing for yes. So when my answer is yes, this is the swing. Right, so you'll actually see it start to do this for you. And it will show you the yes swing. So it doesn't matter if your yes is a circle. It doesn't matter if your yes is a... So I have lots of yes swings that are actually modified yes swings as well. Simply because I find that I have lots of different guides that I connect to, and that makes it really interesting. Okay, so once you've actually done that, how do you ask the question before we get to the no swing? You can ask the question in your head. One of the things though is try and be in the present moment as much as possible, because when you are asking a question, what you'll find is your pendulum will be answering that question. Now, if you've got lots of questions lining up and rolling around in your head, the pendulum will be answering each of those questions as they come popping through. So rather, what I teach people in the beginning to do is to actually focus on that one question, whether you want to write it down, focus on that one question and ask it out aloud. When you're asking it out aloud, then you know that you're actually focusing on the words. It can be easier. You don't have to do it that way. I don't do it that way anymore. However, one of the things you will find is that your pendulum will tend to answer all of your questions that you've got going on. So please try and focus on the one question, okay, at a time. Now, how do you know that who you're connecting to in this yes swing is actually coming from something from the light? When I first begin, one of the first things I always ask with my pendulum is there any interference with this? Now you'll actually see my pendulum showing you the no swing. Now with this particular question, what this means is there any interference from dark or negative energy that might be around trying to interfere and give me the wrong answers. So what you can do yourself is ask that same question. Is there any interference? Before that though, let's take one step back. You've cleansed your pendulum. You've cleared it. Now, I will only accept answers from beings from the light, from the bright white source energy light. Now, you can use whatever words you like. I call source, source. Some people say God. Some people say the universe. Some people say creator. Some people say the divine. Whatever words you use, I will use that, and I say I only accept answers from bright white light, source energy light, bright white like source. So with that, that means that the beings that I accept answers from are only from the light. Because when you actually are asking a question, it may be a number of different beings who actually, or energies that come through that answer you, okay? So with that, you need to ensure that you're only getting the correct answers, or the answers that are appropriate for you, and answers from the light, not tricks. Not somebody trying to trick you or, you know, trip you up. So with that, we've now established that only actually answering questions from the light. We only accept answers from the light, bright white light. There's no interference. So let's now double check on our no swing. Can you please show me the no swing? Thank you. Can you see, if you look at the video, how it actually does look like there is something down there pulling it, magnetically pulling it? Right, that's the energy. Now, to stop your swing, between each question, you should probably try and get your pendulum to actually stop. And you can see mine does this because we've been working together for years. However, what you can do is, Kalendra, can you just swing for me, please? So what you can do is you can actually ask it to swing, and then you can actually stop a pendulum swinging by pulling the energy out from underneath it. If you do this, you don't have to physically touch it. You can actually stop the pendulum, because a lot of the pull of the energy from the pendulum, you'll see, is coming from below it, where the pointer is, where the point of the pendulum is. So this is what is actually moving it around, and that's what I find is easier. So to ask a question, you ask a question, a nice clear question to start with yes or no. You can stop the pendulum between each question. You can ask the question out loud. You can also ensure that you're asking one question at a time. You can ask the same question in 3 different ways. And this is advisable because it means that there's no trip up, and you can use different words and make sure that you're actually asking what you're meaning to ask. Because a lot of people will ask a question that's very generalized, and then you sit back and you think, well, hang on, that answer was fairly general, because my question was fairly general. So try and make your questions very specific. When you start working with the pendulum, if you're not sure, and I get a lot of people say to me, I'm not sure about who it is I'm connecting to, then if you believe in the angels and you believe in Archangel Michael, he's a good one to actually call in and ask to work with the pendulum, because you can then say, okay, Archangel Michael, can you answer this question for me? Or Archangel Michael, can you please ask this guide to answer this question for me? And Michael will actually be there to run interference, as in for negative stuff, and will only give you answers from the light. And if you are there and you're connecting with Michael, then it means that he will keep you safe. And so you can then be assured, you can ask Michael to call in, or whoever the being is that you might want to ask a question from, your grandparent perhaps, or from a family member who's passed, perhaps from somebody who is, you know that he's on the other side, perhaps one of your particular guides, your guardian angel. Now, your guardian angel is usually fairly safe to actually ask a question from. However, you can ask Michael to make sure that that is who you're speaking to. And this is what we recommend people do, is to actually ask these questions. So when you're actually asking your questions, you'll get the answer that you're looking for. Asking the question 3 times, ensuring you know who it is that you're connected to, because otherwise it can be a bit unsure, and it means that it brings in a little bit of negative thought patterns when it actually comes to pendulum, because you're not sure, you're not positive, you're not, out there absolutely 100% sure. And when you get an answer that you don't expect, and you will get an answer that you don't expect, then you can be sure that perhaps, that it was that particular answer is meant for you. I remember the first time I got the answer of not really. Now, you can have more swings than just yes and no. So I asked a question, and I suddenly got my pendulum doing the not really swing. You can see that we work together, that she's ready to do all this. The not really swing. The not really swing, what it was suddenly I asked a question, and instead of getting the no swing, now you can see the no is swinging in a particular way, I got the not really swing. Notice the pendulum is now going in the opposite direction. First thing I did was ask, did that pendulum just swing in the opposite direction? This was years ago. I was flabbergasted. I'm like, what does that mean? How am I supposed to figure out what that means? In my head, I could hear the words pick up a pen. I do automatic writing. So I picked up the pen and the words not really came out. So I double checked. Is this swing, this back to front swing, is that the answer? Not really. Got the yes answer to that. So you see, you can actually get different answers. In fact, let me show you a few of the different swings that I have on this particular pendulum. So let's bring it in. Okay. Now, when I work with Archangel Michael, because Archangel Michael is always in front of me, my pendulum will swing basically to the center and out. Now, a general swing for a pendulum is a full swing. So we get it going from the back to the front at arcs, and that's the way physics works, right? So if you've got something swinging, it should do it that way. However, when I actually have Archangel Michael, can you please do your swing? Nice big one. From the center and out. Now it might be a bit tricky for you to see this, so if I do it from here, from the center and out, big one please Michael. Can you see that it's not going all the way back? So can we do a full swing please? Okay, and now Michael's swing. Okay, now that I know helps to confirm for me that it's Archangel Michael. However, if I would like to have a swing, when I have Archangel Metatron I work with, Metatron goes from the front to the back. So the middle to the back. So you can see, we'll do this again. Metatron please. Nice big swing please, Archangel Metatron. Notice it's not going all the way to the front, it's going to the center. So when it helps to confirm for me, when I actually started working with my pendulum, I wanted to make sure I knew who I was working with, and this is one of the ways that they were showing me. So when I actually have a yes swing from Source, can you please connect to the pendulum? Now notice the swing. If I was to let this go, it would swing out and hit the actual screen in front of me. It is so powerful. So this is Source, God, Universe, connecting. Thank you. Source, can you please show me your no swing? Now notice the no is different. It is a circle still, but it is an oval on an angle. Thank you. And this is Source's way of saying to me, this is my no swing. So I can, not only when I'm feeling it, but if I'm not feeling as connected as I think I should be, or years ago when I wasn't, then I would find that I knew that I was actually getting answers from Source. So this is another way that you can ask. If there's particular beings or entities that you work with your pendulum, you can actually ask it. So if I can ask the beautiful Calendula here, can you please show me the yes swing? Her yes swing is nice and soft and gentle. And the no swing is nice again and soft and gentle. Okay, so Michael, can we have your no swing please? Archangel Michael. You can see that Michael's is a little bit larger. Metatron, please. And you can see, for example, Metatron's is an oval no swing. Thank you, lovely. So, with each of these swings, you can actually have different swings. We can have a maybe swing on an angle, a perhaps swing. Notice it's now going on a different angle. Thank you. The exactly swing. Perhaps a little hard to see here, but this is actually literally going directly from side to side. So when I get an answer and the answer is the word exactly, then it comes through. Exactly, that's exactly right. So thank you. There are many swings. I've got about 17 different ones on my pendulum. Try them, see how you go. Leave any comments for me to let me know what you think, who you're actually working with. When you have finished with your pendulum, please remember to thank your pendulum. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Love and light, with love and with light. Thank you. So let me know what you thought of this. Remember, on a regular basis, clean your pendulum. You don't have to do it absolutely every time. My recommendation in the beginning is to do this. I know when there is something that's not answering. In fact, if I swing my pendulum and I can actually ask now, and if I say, is there any interference in this, and I will get a yes. So I know to cleanse and clear the pendulum. Make sure that the energy surrounding it and the energy with the pendulum is nice and clean and clear. And then I come back, is there any interference? No. Okay. So using your method, using your pendulum, I'd love to hear your stories and what you've got to say. So let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Namaste, beautiful soul.